Hello, my name's Bernard GAUNT. I'm nearly 88 and I thought I'd better share my story before I die. I was not brought up in a Christian home. I was brought up in the army barracks. My father was in the Guards. He was a very good soldier, but he was a bully. He used to bully me and hit me with his rifle strap. I used to fear the time when he said, "Go and change into your pyjamas." I knew what was going to happen. When I was 14, which would have been 1942, he came home one day and he said, "You're a waster. You always have been, you always will be." He then took me to the park and he told me what he actually thought of me, which wasn't very much. Later on, my mother said to me, "My father's found another woman and he's divorcing me. You're going to have to leave school and go to work." So I did. And I worked in a tannery until I was 17. When I was 17, I joined the Guards, and I had this driven purpose that I was going to beat my father to every rank he'd attained before he did. And I did so. Within 10 years, I was acting company sergeant major. But then I got married and decided to come out of the army. I didn't want a married life. In married quarters. I then went into the post office and I was there from 1955 and I was there for 30 years. And in that time I was still driving myself. And I attained a very reasonable position in the post office when I retired. When I retired, we went to Wales and we had a happy time there. But my health wasn't good. And I said to my wife, "What would you do if I died?" And she said, "I'd go back to Kent." So I said, "Let's do it now," and we did. We went down to Kent and we bought a flat in Merrifield Court, opposite St Stephen's Church in Tonbridge. Was there for a number of years, but unfortunately in October 2000, Jo, my wife, was found to have a tumour on the brain and she was given a month to live. She stayed at home and she was nursed by the Macmillan nurses and myself, and she died on the 20th of November. It was then I suddenly found I had no control over my life. Somebody who'd been a driver, powerful, I knew what I wanted and I got it. Suddenly I was in pieces, and I was in pieces. A friend of mine asked Bill McDougall, who was the vicar of St Stephen's, to come over. He came over to see me and I said, "Look, I don't believe in God and I don't believe in any of this. He's taken my wife away from me. What do you want me to do?" He said, "Just let me listen." And Bill did listen. And I poured out and told him everything. And after a few weeks, he got me to go to church. And then I went on an Alpha course. And we ended up, I always get the word wrong, the Christian hospital on an away day. And we were in the church there. And Bill was praying over me and suddenly I started to cry. I don't know why, tears just running down my eyes. ran down my face, and I had this feeling of peace, and it was a marvellous feeling. I left the church and I went and sat on a chair outside looking at the countryside, and it was gorgeous, and I felt so much at peace. And from then on, God has been a part of my life. I became confirmed by Bishop Azianali, and 2 years later, just over 2 years later, I married Angela, my wife, second wife. And the Holy Spirit, because I believe it is the Holy Spirit that visited me on that day, has visited me on a number of occasions. Once in St. Stephen's Church when we were singing Amazing Grace. Another time in the Isle of Iona, in the Abbey. And the last time in Norwich Cathedral after having communion. And I must say that since I've become a Christian, my life has been calmer. I've been a calmer person, and I'm able to deal with problems in an easier way. And life is great. Thanks to God.
Bernard, what would you say to somebody that doesn't think Christianity is for them?
Think again. Think again, try it. You might think that other things in life aren't for you. Football, chocolate. But you've tried them, you might like them. I'm not comparing, I'm not trying to compare them to Jesus. All I am saying is that you've got to try and find out about Jesus, and then you'll know the truth. And the only way is through Jesus.